Yo, what are you doing right now? We are going to get real about men's issues, who Jesus is, and who we are as men in Christ. We're going to hear Trey, Jeremy, Michael, and Brad break it down. These guys call themselves the Cussin Christians. All right, guys, what is going on?
Hey, baby, we made it.
They got FSU got screwed.
And I got it.
You know what? You want to have people vote? You make stupid decisions.
It's all
stupid
about the
things
money,
happen.
baby.
Well, next year we're going to 12 teams, so we won't have to worry about it.
Still going to worry about it. I was talking to this guy, Longdoggers, and he had a really good. He thought a lot about it. There's the power conferences.
Five power conferences.
So somebody's going to be on the outside looking in anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
If everybody goes undefeated, right?
Yeah, if they
or
go to
they win a champion. Yeah.
Which the bet is that won't happen, right? But it did.
But how do you allow Alabama in when they didn't?
So listen, I hate to be. I'm going to be against you. I'm going on the other side of this. So I don't agree with you on this one, because if you look at who Alabama played week in and week out,
Strength of schedule.
I'm sorry, ACC's not there. SEC's there. I get it.
True.
I think I would vote for Alabama.
Breaking it down.
Dude,
Love this one.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Yes, sir.
Are you? Did you say you were really getting into the natural stuff? Who was that saying this morning?
Natural stuff.
Yeah, like, you were talking about
Holistic.
something. Yeah,
No, I'm not. A friend of mine.
Well, I
is.
started using a new hair gel. And just all the chemicals. I got a new shampoo. It doesn't have all the chemicals in it. Got a new deodorant, and I took the cap off, and it says, take cap off, push up bottom. And I can't walk real well, but my farts smell great.
Wah, wah. Yep.
Oh, no. It's been 3 weeks. I needed that. Thank you.
Knew it was coming.
It was coming, man.
Look at all us bundled up, too. We're in Florida. It was in the 50s this morning when we woke up for sunrise.
Nice, dude.
We got winter for what, a week?
Tomorrow's going to be in the
Very nice.
49 when we wake up in the morning.
Good.
There's cold and there's Florida cold. Florida cold is what we are.
What I love about Florida is when we first moved down here, we came from up north, right? So, 49 is shorts and a sweatshirt.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? If you live up north, in Indiana, I mean, your blood's just different. And actually, there's some science behind that, actually. But we're watching the news, and it's like, so make sure your kids have coats and gloves, because like in the 40s, it's like there's actually, like, your kids can get hypothermia. Like, they're talking about on the news.
Yeah.
So that, like,
Really? In the 40s?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because, like, they're telling people down here don't deal with it. Just like I woke up this morning and I was like, man, it's kind of chilly out. Like, I wonder what it is. I was 56. Man, that's cold for Florida.
That's
like, I better put
beautiful.
my jacket and shorts and.
Yeah, it's such a funny thing, because some people have their long coats on when it gets in the low 60s, and other people, like, usually I'm wearing shorts and the flip-flops anyway. So you got the coats and you got the flip-flops all mingled together at Publix.
Yep.
Man.
I like it this time of year because I can wear jeans finally. Like, I've had these for a year and I'd love to put them on.
Put them on without chafing.
We sleep with the window open.
I think it's great. You go to church and everybody's in shorts and flip-flops, and just that's Florida formal.
That's right.
Florida formal. Well, guys, it's been a while. You had your travels to the Middle East.
Yeah. Went over to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for the America's Cup.
Aloha
Snack Bar. Yeah. That's what Joseph said. He says, if you hear somebody yelling Aloha Snack Bar, you better run. You better run.
Better run.
Did you tell that joke over there by chance?
I don't know. He told it. It came from him, so I'm sure.
It's hilarious.
Oh, Joseph, he said
Yeah.
it. Okay.
I can see him saying it,
Got a
too.
lot of mileage out of that.
Aloha
Nice.
Snack Bar.
Love it.
That was cool. We were doing some logistics and security for the American Magic sailing team for a couple weeks over there. Some of the guys were already over there by the time I got, but it was a very interesting experience. And so we're pulling for the American Magic, and they have like the final in Barcelona next November.
How fast do those boats go?
They go well. So I don't know knot wise, but like 50 miles an hour, just by the power of the wind.
Just by the power of the wind.
They rise up on these hydrofoils, and yeah, they get flying, man.
Do they have to find locations that have a lot of wind? I mean, and the Red Sea does. Is that a pretty?
I guess so. I mean, it definitely picked up in the afternoon. So they had 15, 16 mile an hour winds, which I think is optimal for them to race. So they had plenty of wind.
So a 16 mile an hour wind will get them to 50 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, the technology of those
technology's
boats
crazy,
is
yeah.
unbelievable, and it changes. It like it's a totally different sport than it was 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
And so they were racing the AC40s, which are these 40-foot boats, and in the finals they'll be racing the AC75s, which are 75 feet. And they have they'll have 8 sailors in there, and so they used to have these grinders, the guys that would do this to generate power to raise up the hydrofoils and stuff. But just in the last 5 years, they've gone to cyclers. And so they'll have 4 guys in there that are actually like on stationary bikes that are cycling, that helps generate power for them to move the foils and stuff. So now they're targeting guys with cycling backgrounds instead of these grinder dudes. But yeah.
So lower body strength cycling instead of upper body strength.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But that's how much it's changed just over the past 5 or 6 years, and they're always redesigning the boats and everything like that. It's a fascinating sport, a lot of money in it. But nobody really understands the rules.
So you're going to Barcelona next year for that, but
I hope so.
But what happens if there's no wind? I mean, you guys just kind of sit in the water and
cancel
wait?
it.
Okay.
They've canceled.
Wait till the next day.
So it's pretty windy over there. It makes a lot of sense with Jesus giving Nicodemus that kind of that.
As the wind blows. Yeah.
That was
You don't
cool.
know. Yeah, the Spirit's like,
So you could relate to it.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't allow fishing in the
There's
Red
no
Sea.
fishing allowed in the
No
Red Sea?
fishing, no swimming. So they were hitting fish all the time with those hydrofoils under the water, and they're going 50 miles an hour. They're hitting fish and turtles and all kinds of stuff. So every night they would have to. A couple guys would stay there till 8 or 9 in the evening, repairing the hydrofoils.
No fishing?
I'll bet you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the amount of fish
yeah.
in
It's
that?
unbelievable. Could you imagine? Have you seen sea turtles? How big
Yeah.
they really are?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They can be like 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Right.
I bet at 50 miles an hour that would do some damage to a
Serious
hydrofoil.
speed bump, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you imagine being on that boat and it's like,
Or even some of the fish over there, I can imagine.
Oh, yeah. There are a couple of times 1 or 2 of the boats would nosedive, because they're raised up, and they hit the wave the wrong way. They'll just nosedive, and they'll be done for the day. That happened to one of the French boats.
I couldn't have been in a nicer country.
Man, you're just antagonistic today.
Dude.
Bama, the French, what else? Come on.
Getting me started this morning.
You're already started.
It's the most wonderful time of year,
yeah,
bro.
man. It's Christmas, dude.
It's Christmas time.
Lighten up.
Jesus was born in September, bro.
I know that.
So
but
what?
we celebrate now. It's crazy this time of year. It's tough for people. A lot of people in the holiday time with, a lot of families aren't together. Maybe someone experienced the death of a loved one. I know I'm coming up on the year anniversary of my mom passing away just here in a day or two. And then you tack in all the hustle and bustle that launches the day after Thanksgiving. It gets hectic and confusing, and sometimes, and I feel like I'm in a season of a little bit of weariness right now. And let me explain that for a minute, because I want to get y'all's take, and let's talk about the brothers that might be in a season of weariness. We became non-for-profit 3 years ago. And the ministry, we started this February, will be 8 years. We had our first MPACT meeting, right, with 4 guys in my living room. Y'all know the story. And I've just found these last 3 years as we've grown, and the donations that have helped us get the word out about what we do. The podcast came to being, and then all of a sudden we're working through going more to the masses with our message of grace and healing and the sovereignty of God, and we're teaming up with Micah Tyler's of the world and Zach Williams, and now we got a new announcement to make here at the end, and what's shaping up for next year to be big. I've gotten so consumed with the ministry progressing that I feel like my time with the Lord has decreased a little bit. Those quiet times of the day, and it's to the point now I'm thankful that this time of year we're doing this. I don't have a lot of other things planned. That I'm going to be low key after we go to Mexico next week until mid-January. But man, I feel like I'm in a season of weariness right now, where I'm just kind of tired, and everything seems overwhelming. The hustle and bustle of everything. I've talked to my son Garrett about it because he was feeling some of the same type stuff, and I woke up yesterday and I opened up my Bible, and it went to Hebrews chapter 12.
okay.
And it was like, like in the movies when someone shows, like, you're looking at a book and parts of it just glow for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was like with Hebrews chapter 12. And the Lord made it really, really easy for me, because the heading for this section says, "Do not grow weary." So he's like, okay, I'm going to dumb it down for Trey a little bit, and I'm just going to guide him here. And I took a little comfort in this scripture, but then I want to turn it over to you guys of, do you ever feel just tired? And how does that affect your psyche, your brain, how you walk out each day of life? And I just feel like my bucket's a little bit like half empty right now, and I need to fill it back up. And but the scripture that hit me was Hebrews 12 verse 3, and I got to pull it up because I can't read in this light. Consider him who endured from sinners such hostility against himself, so that you may not grow weary or faint-hearted. So he's saying, think about the crap Jesus went through and what he endured. And then the next verse, and I felt like I'm going to read the verse, then I'm going to read to you how I heard it when I was reading it yesterday morning. In your struggles against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your own blood. Now, when I read that yesterday, it was, Trey, in your struggles, you haven't even come close, man. And you're sitting there griping and moaning and complaining, and you have not resisted to the point of you shedding your own blood like Jesus. And it kind of humbled me a little bit, because I was sitting there scrolling or reading, and I'm in my robe in the air conditioning of my home that probably costs, eating my honey bun, with my worries of, is my pool going to be clean this week? And the worries of am I going to get the rear view camera fixed on the back of my $40,000 car? I don't got a lot to be weary about, but I just feel kind of tired. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how do y'all combat that kind of stuff when it just feels like this world's too busy, man, and I feel like I'm running on only a quarter tank of gas right now.
In Hebrews 12:3, there's in the AMP, I love it. There was an added. They always kind of add.
Oh, amplified,
yeah. Consider it all in comparison with your trials.
Yeah, that's what I read. The writer wrote to me, said, "Trey, consider this. You're an idiot because your trials. How bad are they?" And me and our bubble we live in this community we are.
So we just had this conversation. I was having it in the car when you guys pulled up, actually. I was talking to a couple of guys in my small group. We did it a little bit later this morning. And, it's funny. And that's why you got to be careful how you judge people. But in context, things are very different. Mm-hmm. So in context to your life, what is a big deal is not in context a big deal to somebody that's living a different life.
Exactly. Sure. Yeah.
If you were to go to a child in Africa that has to walk 2 miles to get water, he's not real worried about whether you're getting a camera in your car because you have a car to go get your water. You know what I mean? More or less a spigot.
Publix.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't make in your own context, it doesn't make your struggles any less. You know what I mean? And in fact, it can be worse in some context because because if you don't have a lot, then you don't have a lot to lose. You know what I mean? So when you have a lot, then when the gravity of what you might lose comes into fruition and what it would take to get it back, that can be a really heavy burden to bear. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just a different burden. So I think when we think about that, it's not fair to judge ourselves based on, well, there's a kid in Africa that has to walk 2 ways. Well, that's not my life, right? Like, I'm sorry. Like, yes, I feel terrible for that kid.
It's not apples to apples, though.
It's not an apples to apples thing. But when I'm sitting there looking at my life, I'm like, all right, I'm starting a business. If it fails, I could lose my, X amount of dollars house, and it's all could shatter. That's still a big deal in my life, right? Mm-hmm. So that is tiring, and that's okay. Like that's your life. You have to live in that context. And Paul's a pretty severe writer, so to think he's writing that for shock value to them too, right? Like he's telling the Hebrews here, hey guys.
If this was Paul, you're right.
Wake up, right? Let's be honest. Like you're talking about your life. Look what Christ did for you, and you can't even give up for him. You know what I mean?
He's toughening us up as believers for what's possibly down the road.
That's a great question, because in the next verses, when it gets into verse like 7, he talks about discipline and how if we're sons of God, God's going to discipline us and get us through. And the word that they, the Greek translation from the word in this, it's not discipline like he's punishing me. It's discipline as he's guiding me as a parent.
Right.
It's because the trials I'm going through, whether it's anxiety in my mind or I'm just tired or physically, I've been ill the past month after COVID bout and yada yada yada. Through that he disciplines me, he teaches me, and makes me think of Titus chapter 2 with how grace trains us to withstand and move forward in a godly manner. But that word for discipline is. A lot of people read that, whoa, God's punishing you. No, God's not punishing me. I'm going through it because of sin, but His discipline is refining me through it.
Right.
Not your sin. You mean the sin,
The sin of the world, yeah.
Right.
But correct. And I'm not sure where I was going with that now.
Well, but think about discipline, right? Like you're talking about it as in like father, son discipline. There's also discipline in your life as in you have to discipline yourself too. And in your weariness, sometimes it's because we've lost track of that discipline to do the things we're supposed to do. I'm at this exact moment, I'm trying to rediscipline my life in a different way as far as like what I do day to day, because I found that I'm in this very much this rut of like, this is what I've always done, so I'm doing it.
Right.
And now I need to reshift my road a little bit here, because I need to start getting up earlier. I need to start focusing differently. Like I'm not traveling all the time. So I have all these things I'm changing in my life, and I'm redisciplining myself to get to the end of the road of where I want to be. And part of that's figuring out where to fit my spiritual time in with God, because I'm not fitting it in now because my life's different than it was 6 months ago. So like there's discipline, it's also self-discipline, and how do you get yourself focused again. And I think part for you, and I'm not going to speak for you, but like sometimes as leaders, we forget to have the word poured into us. And that's part of our discipline that needs to be there too, is how do we go get poured into sometimes? Right. Because you just said you need refilled, but that's because you poured out. Like you can't just keep pouring water out of a bucket and thinking there'll be more water. Sometimes you got to go get the water.
Get refilled. Well, yeah, I think it's verse 12 in Hebrews 11 that talks about how no discipline at the time is pleasant, but later on it produces a fruit of righteousness for those who've been trained by it. So, again, I think that's like Michael said earlier. Maybe God's preparing us because He knows down the road we need to be strong. So there's going to be resistance. There's going to be times of weariness. We need to be disciplined and strengthen ourselves so that later on we can have a fruit of righteousness that we're going to need for ourselves and for others too.
You and Trey will. Jeremy and I will already be in heaven. So.
Yeah, not too concerned about
the end times.
But for you guys need to get broke down on a regular basis.
Man.
What?
Yeah. This is
he still forgets that podcast.
Yeah, where
I know.
God takes the weak ones up first,
Right.
leaves.
Oh,
the,
that's right.
And we're betting on you taking the mark.
Yeah, probably so.
we'll see.
The only thing is, as long as they'll be like, you take the mark, or here's whatever, like a little Debbie treat.
Hey, you know who eats Little Debbie oatmeal rounds every day on his drive to work?
No.
As he's pulling into his office at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, Nick Saban is eating one of those, by the way.
My brother Ken does.
Oh, see?
Those are good.
His zero cherry Coke and a Little Debbie oatmeal.
Yep, the little oatmeal.
Those things are great, though. I haven't had one in probably 10
They
years.
are phenomenal.
What's in that cream, man?
I don't want to know.
Crack?
I don't want to know.
It's like most things that are good. I don't need to know what's in the cake.
know.
I just like the cake.
All right, we digress.
Just have to discipline yourself not to eat those.
You're
every
talking
day.
about weariness, though. Like, think about when you work out at the gym, right? Like, I'm just thinking, like, if you work out, if you do it well.
I don't think about what I work out.
I know. I'm in the same boat these days.
This body don't get like this.
Hey, you know what? You can't pull fat. John Daly, just saying.
You can't pull fat.
That's what he did say.
Yeah.
But not that we should follow his example on anything,
true.
but just throwing out there. But think about it, like you break yourself down, and then through discipline, you build yourself back up even stronger than you were before. So spiritually, it's not different.
Yeah. Things are coming together where a lot of load is going to be lifted from me after the first of the year. And but yeah, I found the past 3 years since we became a non-for-profit, and I fully believe the Lord trained me through my corporate America training to do things like speak in public, or to write, or strategic planning, all those type of things. And ever since we became the non-for-profit and I left corporate America, when I started this, it was all about grace. It was all about healing, recovering, and moving forward. And that's the core. It's just about Jesus helping us do that. But once we became the not-for-profit, and all of a sudden, okay, I want to make some things happen. I need some donations and donors, and we started working through that. All of a sudden, I felt like I'm focusing more on advancing the business side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And some of the other things have kind of tapered off a little. And I don't know, it's just really been hitting me lately. And I'm like, okay, and coming up soon, we will be. We got some some changes that are going to happen, including where we're sitting here and some other things that I haven't even talked to y'all about yet. So
sweet.
But in any case, I just felt feeling a little tired, and then the Lord just puts Hebrews 12 in front of me yesterday that kind of triggered some conversations, and all of a sudden I feel like the water's been turned on a little bit and the bucket's filling back up. So
it's just a part of life, though, that we're going to feel weary at different times. And I think it's interesting. I don't think God's concerned that, Trey's feeling weary. He wants you to get through it, and he wants you to become stronger through it.
Yeah.
And so, like we're talking about, the more time you spend time in the Word, maybe when you're not weary, maybe when you're feeling good and things are going well, you're storing up that Word in your heart. So when you do get weary, you've got some reserve there that comes up, and the Lord brings those things to your mind, and the Holy Spirit is stirred up when you need it the most. But we're going to experience that feeling of weariness, and even those times where we feel like we don't hear God. Because that's what faith is. If we could see him and hear him every second of the day, there's really not faith there. And he's okay. It's like he's okay with us not seeing and hearing him sometimes, because we need to get stronger in believing the word that we read.
Because what is the word other than food? And Jesus made examples of it. I don't eat what you eat. I am the bread of life. And when we consume ourselves with the word, that's food for our spirit, and that's where we're able to pour out when we need to, and give when we need to. And if we're constantly in the word, we're going to feed that spirit that's in us.
Mm-hmm. What if you reframe weariness as almost a gift from God? What actually is? All things are a gift from God, right? And the ability to be tired is a gift, because it's actually making you recenter yourself in a way that you didn't necessarily want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I never thought about it that way before. They always say, doctors always say, just listen to your body. Maybe I should listen to the, all right, if I'm starting to feel a little weary, it's time for me to pause and shift, refocus, or whatever.
Yeah. I think a lot of times our society, we try to work through it. We try to just keep,
work through the pain, boy.
Right. Well,
that's how we grew up.
Yeah, I mean, it's heroic in our culture. If your leg hurts, you keep running. Like, you don't slow down.
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're
not
dead.
Hurt or are you
Get
injured?
up.
Are you hurt or are you injured?
Get up. Here's some, what was it? Bactine. Squirt on it and move forward.
Mercurochrome.
That burn like a mow. Well, the brother that feels a little overwhelmed right now. We're in December.
This can be a really overwhelming time of the year.
This is an overwhelming time of year, and just from keeping up with the Joneses, Clark Griswold's house and Christmas decorations, and going to outdo each other in the gift-giving piece and the focus of everything we do. That's not on actually Jesus during this time, and that's kind of a lesson learned for me. Is you think about when Paul screamed out to God about the thorns, to Jesus about the thorns, and Jesus said, "My grace is sufficient for you." It's like Jesus was saying, "Quit focusing on the thorns, man. Focus on me. Quit focusing on your weariness." Because sometimes, in your psyche, you focus on, "Oh God, it sucks. I don't even want to get up and go to work today, man." Have you ever said that?
Yep.
Yeah. Instead of, "All right, Jesus, I don't know what to do today. I'm not feeling it."
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking, Jesus? And boom. All of a sudden, always something magical turns on that.
That's the hardest thing to do, is to be still when you've got a list of things you got to do for the day.
Yeah.
Technically, what needs to happen in order for you to get things done, but God's telling you to sit still and to read the Word and listen to Him for 30 minutes or whatever. That's the hardest thing to do.
There's that fight going on, doing things for Him and doing things. We all have jobs, and doing our job, doing things for Him. There's that struggle. We have to survive. We have to work to eat. And so then we have that, we all live and put Him first, don't we? We should. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So putting Him first means what? It should be Him, family, job, that should be way down the list. But where are our priorities? Where are we looking at, especially during this season? It's like Michelle and I we're just not getting each other anything. I'm in the process of redoing the bathroom, so that's our Christmas.
Yeah, we always. It's funny you say that because Ashley and I don't typically give each other gifts.
Right.
We've started doing it because of the kids, because we want them to see us give each other something, like so they see the affection kind of thing. But we always did like outings, like we would go out to like dinner or something like that or whatever. We just didn't do gifts. It wasn't. We didn't feel like it was
I know what
necessary.
Santa gives Michelle this year.
What?
I said I know what Santa wants to give Michelle this year.
You do?
Yeah,
Y'all talk?
Are you Santa
I'm Santa.
in the scenario?
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say that.
I'm Santa.
All
You're
right.
gonna find some mistletoe.
Yeah, tinsel baby.
The other thing about
That's what guys think about all the time. I'm sorry.
You're right.
Yeah,
I know.
giving gifts. That's right.
That's right. Giving gifts.
And I think
Very
about a
giving.
season of weariness, and one of the best ways for me to snap out of it happened this morning as the sun was coming up on the Indian River here in beautiful Brevard County. Did y'all ever see the movie Uncommon Valor?
No.
I think so.
That Clint Eastwood directed with the actual Navy SEALs were the actors.
I remember when that came out.
Yeah, it's your kind of movie, Chef.
All right.
It's your kind of movie. I think Clint Eastwood was the one that directed it, but he actually had actual Navy SEAls. And in short, the movie's about these Navy SEAls, and it starts with them in California, and they're with their families. And then they get the call from the Prez to go on some secret mission, right? And they get the call, and they have to leave in 24 hours, and they're all at the beach with their wives, and the 5 of them are walking down the beach, and the head SEAL, I'm not sure what his rank was. All right, let's talk. Is everything set? How's everything at the house? Because we cannot go out there with a clouded mind that I'm worried about my wife paying the bills. How can we lift each other up and make sure if you're hurting, if you got something with your wife, let's make arrangements to take care of it. It was really cool. Before they go overseas to go kill the bad guys, right? And I just think about that scene when I think about us. And I think about the guys in the pavilion this morning watching sunrise. There was, 6 of us? And this genuine Christian brotherhood thing is the basis for everything we do. And I get out of my weariness seasons when I'm around guys like you guys. And so my question is, who's that guy for you? Who, if you're watching now, if you're one of our 2 that are listening today, or you're one of our 500 that might listen tomorrow, who's that guy? That might be able to help get you out of this season of weariness. I was with a man yesterday, and I, quite frankly, I was kind of off my game. I was telling Michael about this earlier, and I'd gotten called and say, can you meet with this guy? And I did, and he was going through his litany of things that were going on. And the whole time it was one of those deals where he just said, he started sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. And I walked away, and I was like, I got in the car and said, man, I didn't give my best effort there. But sure enough, a little while later, I just got this long, it meant a lot that you were there, just being there.
Yeah.
And this is how I think I'm going to cheat. Somehow he formulated a plan, and can you hold me accountable? And and I was like, it was just me there with an ear, dude.
Right.
That helped get him out of his weariness state.
Yep.
And maybe it's that simple.
Knock on that door of a neighbor that you need this Christmas season. Instead of giving gifts, let's give the gift of salvation. Maybe open up a conversation with a neighbor that you've never spoke with. You may wave as you go through the neighborhood, but just knock and say, hey, want to know if there's anything you need this Christmas season, if there's anything I can do, and watch out, man, because when you go down to a neighbor and pray for him,
I can't wait till you start sharing those stories.
I am.
So those are great. Those are great stories.
You got to be careful with that, though. And I agree with everything you're saying. I just hope for the people listening, they understand that Trey, in his mind, didn't give forth his best Jesus this morning, but yet just being there was all they needed, right? So he can't. In that moment, you came out and the works hit you over the head of, I didn't do enough to help this guy.
Yep.
And then you immediately got a text that said, hey, you did everything I needed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I wept when I read it. I was going, holy cow.
That's awesome.
Something happened there. And
So just a cautionary. I'm just bringing the other side
Make
of it.
it works.
Don't turn it into works,
Right.
right? Like let God work.
I thought you were going to say cautionary tale. Don't knock on the neighbor's door.
No.
It's
When
ama-
Michael comes back with restraining orders, we'll let you know.
But it's amazing when you ask people. I have yet, and I don't know if you've said maybe sometimes, I have yet to have somebody say, no, I don't want you praying for me. I don't ever remember a time that's ever happened. Because I think deep down people's spirit, obviously we were made to be in communion with our Father. So that's in our spirit, everybody's spirit. They just haven't found it yet.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, even hear the atheists of like, whatever God you believe in, well, if you're an atheist, like, why do you care who I pray to? Like, you don't believe there's a God? Like, but I've seen it many times. We're like, hey, pray for us, and it's like, well, you can pray for you too,
Right.
But that's a whole other topic. But.
Well, fantastic. Ho, ho, ho. It's right around the corner. A time for us to celebrate the birth of and the day that God came to earth as a human. And the family time that we're going to be experiencing, I hope it's just great for everyone. I know a lot of families struggle this time of year, and our prayers are that. And, speaking of families, we have our next event set up.
Sweet.
And it's going to be after the first of the year, actually a little late spring, around the Father's Day time. But it's going to be called the Grace for the Family Experience. It's going to be here in Melbourne, Florida at the King Center of the Performing Arts. And we're going to have an evening of worship and inspiration with Impact Men's Ministries and Tim Tebow.
Nice.
So that's going to be cool.
I wonder if he's sad about the Florida State being not chosen.
heck, no way. We're gonna ask him about that. But in any case, it's going to shape up to be a great night. But I wanted just to give the teaser here, because when you get this, it'll be, when you guys listen to this, or it'll be about 10 days before Christmas, maybe, or 12 days before Christmas. And tickets should be on sale before Christmas. So if you want a stocking stuffer or something like that as a Christmas gift for an amazing night of worship and inspiration, we would be our joy that you bought those tickets and helped us step on Satan a little bit more.
And Trey, this will be a family-friendly thing?
Oh, absolutely.
Like teenagers,
Yep,
young kids?
Bring them. I expect to see a lot of blue and orange number 15 jerseys, but we're going to have a great worship band that's going to lead us for a while. We're going to have some impact stories of men and their wives that have overcome major challenges through Christ. And we'll begin working on that after the first of the year. Some impact things, and then Tim Tebow is going to come out and might even have a little extra surprise when he's done. So it's going to be a great night for the whole family, and it's Thursday before Father's Day. It's tied into Father's Day weekend, so we're going to have a lot of things for the dad in the room to help us think differently.
We need to bring men back into the
Yeah.
leadership of the house.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Fatherless kids growing up in this country is ridiculous.
I think our problems in our society, and this is just Trey, not trying to get on a soapbox, are the lack of the father direction in the home,
Totally.
the broken homes, and the other thing I'm a fully invested in now is what's being taught our kids on college campuses.
There you go.
And with that thought, we might be having something else come up. So
Cool.
but in any case, so check it out. We'll probably be on social media with it in the coming days of a save the date, and then when tickets go on sale, we'll get that out to you as well. MPACTministries.org. That's MPACTministries.org. Check us out. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's about to start up for us. X, that's right, X.
The platform formerly known as Twitter.
Yes, and we might even be doing a little TikTok action here pretty soon as well. So check them all out, and all about discovering grace one man at a time. So y'all ready?
I'm ready for the land the plane, Trey. Let's go.
Land of what?
Land the plane.
Land the plane.
Land the plane. Remember that.
I got a 9 o'clock call. We got to go.
Go land the plane. All right, so with that said, I'm Trey.
I'm Michael.
I'm Brad.
I'm Jeremy.
We are the
Cussin Christians.
Go get on your call, dude.
Yeah.
I am.
Peace
I gotta
out.
go to Orlando.
You go to Orlando. I'm going to go play golf with my dad.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
It's a little chilly for golf.